Hi guys, in this video I'll talk to you about the loop statements. So we talked about conditional statements in the previous video. This video, let's talk about loops. Excuse me, loops. Oh, I made a mistake here. Okay. Sorry, I got here some problems. Okay. Okay. So let's have the loop. Start with the loops here. For loops. So the first is the for. So a for loop is used usually for iterating over a sequence. So for example, you have multiple, now we consider a checking on a condition. Then we could check different conditions, like two conditions with and or. Now, what we need to see is how do we progress it through or iterate through or go through multiple data points in our data set. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Basically, we have different conditions here with these, but then we have different data sets with certain variables that has different values that we would like to check the conditions for them. So this is an iteration in a list. Do you remember when we talked about a list, a tuple or a dictionary, a set or a string? So with the for loop, you can execute a set of statements, the conditional statements or just regular statements, once for each item in the list. So it goes through the list. So it executes the condition for each item in the list. So let's see how it works. So if we define here a data set of values, a cherry, banana, and apple, and they all belong to a data set called fruits, then with the for function, we say for x in fruits, for I in fruits, whatever a name you give here for the variable in fruits for the fruits list, print this x. So let's here copy this as is. This is a list. We talked about lists in the previous time. So here, this is a list. There is a, oh, there is an invalid character here. There's a space, seems to be. So we need to be careful with the spaces, guys, you see. So this is a quite interesting, how do we troubleshoot together. So please make sure that there's no spaces, but I keep it with a space here for a purpose, for a reason. This is not the first time I teach this. I taught it also in previously, but I always like to put you in a situation where you troubleshoot. Okay, for X in fruits, do something. So let's do it together. Let's type here for, I'm gonna put I in, for I in fruits, print I. Now we are gonna be prompted with error. Why is that so? Here, the name fruits is not defined, but I defined it. No, you defined fruits with a small letter. So please be wary of the sensitivity of the letters. So over here, it's just printed I. So print I didn't work out, seems to be. How about what's going on here? Let's check here. Print I is different than print I. Do you see the difference? I here is a string. I here is a variable. If you, for example, use x as in the example, it's going to give you similar results. If you, over here is the problem. Yeah, now it's all right. So as you can see here, but now it's all right. So it doesn't matter if it's I or X or whatever number, letter you use to iterate through the list. What matters is you be wary of no spaces between different values in the list. Is something that we haven't talked about last time. Also, make sure that you don't forget the colon. Also, make sure you understand that I in between quotes is different than I or X, sorry, here X in between quotes is different than X without quotes, and so on. So for X in banana, print X. What does that mean? This means that X here is every letter. So let's do that together. So for X in banana, my son's favorite fruits, print X. What's going to happen? We're going to have B-A-N-A-N-A, banana. So as you can see here, the output, it's outputting each value of X in a column. So as you can see, it's like in a list. So back again, we have fruits. For X in fruits, again, and add a condition. If X equals a banana, then continue and print X. What does that mean? This means start at banana. Don't you think so? So this means for X in fruits, if this X is equal to banana, continue and print X. Okay, let's see what does this mean. Here, for X in fruits, of course, we already here defined it. So for X in fruits, do something. If X is equal banana, do something. Print X. No, that wasn't the statement, but let's see, there's a problem here. If X is equal, do you see what the problem is? So here, so if X is equal banana, print X. But here saying if X is equal banana, it says continue. So let's for now wait a minute. If X is equal to banana, and so for X in fruits, if X is equal to banana, let's make sure that banana is here. Then you just need to tell the code here to basically continue. What does that mean? This means you're not gonna print the first or the previous incident. So continue, and then what happens? Are we gonna be done here? I mean, continue and then print X, right? Nothing happened really. Something is up here, don't you guys think so? Is it the indentation, for example, you think? Is it? So let's take a look again here. So for X in fruits, and there's a colon. If X is equal to banana, and there's also a colon, of course, and there's double equals, then continue and then print. So do you see the indentation here? All right, I can see that print Now it's all right. And then it printed cherries and then apple, but it didn't print banana. So it is looping around here the whole list, the whole list without printing banana. So actually it's not going to print banana and cherries and stops. No, in fact it's not going to print banana, but it's going to print cherries and whatever comes after that. So for example here, let's add other fruits. For example, let's figs, for example, something like grapes, I'm not sure if this is how we spell apricots, but in any case, yeah, add some fruits here. Add some fruits and then I think maybe like that. And then now see how is this executed. So it is apple, cherries, figs, grapes, apricot. Apple, cherry, figs, grapes, apricot. So basically it seems like when x is equal to banana, continue as if it is telling us to not equal to not print banana. This will cause a distraction here. Now banana is printed. Do you see that? And apricot is printed because both of them cannot. Look here what happened. Or will actually get rid of both of them, and is confusing and will not do anything really, but or will do it. Why is that so? Because both of them cannot be at the same incident. So if either this one or this one is equal, eliminated and print the remaining apple, cherries, figs, and grapes. There's no banana, there's no apricots. So this is quite interesting to see. All right, this is a very specific function. I'm not sure even if we're gonna really need it this semester. Now let's talk about other functions. This is kind of like, let's talk about other functions where we have to increment the incidence. With the for loop, we are actually not adding a counter, we call it in programming. We don't add a counter that we add one to it to step up to the next, We're actually just, it is built in, it's in within, it's by design. So for x in fruits, we say if x is equal banana and all that to continue, it's built in. In the next video, maybe I should make another video. How long is this video now? Maybe it's just 13 minutes. I maybe can go ahead with the while loop within the same video, but well, let me stop here and then let me start, or let me continue. So with the while loops, guys, we have the counter. So I is equal to whatever, like fruits, for example here. You have a list. So if you want to iterate through the list, you use for. Now if you start with an initial value like 1, I is equal to 1, so you use while I is less than 6, so you give it a certain range. So between I, the initial value here, I is equal to 1, and then an end value, which is 6. So for I is less than 6, so as long as I is less than 6, print I. So let's go ahead. While I is less than 6, I is equal to 1, the initial value. 1 is less than 6, so that's true. Print I, so I'm going to print 1. Then do what? Then this is called a counter, an incremental counter. So the counter here is I is equal to 1, and we are adding 1 to it. So it's increment by 1 unit. So now it will add 1 to I. So adding 1 to 1, I now will assume a new value. The new value will be 2. So now I is equal to 2. So if we want to do this, in fact, maybe I can improve on this slide further by taking this and saying, now after the counter, after here, this counter over here, after this counter, what's happening is the new value of I is 1 plus 1, which is equal to 2. So now I is equal to 2. So 2 is less than 6. So what's going to happen is we're going to, the output is going to be 1 and 2. Now also, the next step will be adding again and again and again until we reach a counter where it is 5. 5 plus 1 is 6, for example, until we reach to the point where I is equal to 6, and 6 is no longer less than 6, it's equal to 6. So here it's going to stop. Let's do the while loop. So the for loop, we are going through and iterating through a list, for example. With the while loop, what's happening is that we have an initial value, for example 1, or let's say it is, I'm going to put it as 10, all right? And then I'm going to have while I is less than 60, for example. I'm not going to put 1 and 6. I'm going to now show you that we can actually use other values. Then print I. Be careful, I without the quotes. Print I, and then give me the counter. The counter, is it with indentation or not? Of course, the counter comes with the indentation, as you can see here. The indentation here, or the incrementation, is I have doubts though. I is equal here to, I'm gonna add 10. So you can add 10 points at each time. So instead, I is equal to 10. 10 is less than 60. Then print 10. I printed 10. Now I is adding 10 to I. So I now is 20. Then I is 30 and 40 and 50. So you can add here if you want even 5. Look at that. So now it's 10, 15, 20, 25, all the way until 55. You want to add 1? Add 1. Good luck. You will have all the numbers until 60. So can you add here less than or equal? Yes, you could. And here we go. So you can add more than just as an increment here or a counter. You can add 10, 20, whatever, 5, 5.1. Yeah, you can add actually 0.1, kind of like incrementation. That's also doable and valid. We have in machine learning or in analytics in general, we have what we call it a stepwise increment of 0.1, a stepwise increment of 1, a stepwise increment. This is the language that we use that corresponds to this counter. We say a stepwise increment. Okay. Now we're going to talk about here creating functions in the next video. So for now, thank you so much. We learned so far in this video a little bit about conditional statements. With conditional statements, it's very important that you understand the difference between a single equal and double equal. Always here at the end of the if statement, have a colon. We also talked about the importance of indentation. With if and elif, you don't need to make any indentation. And also there's nothing at the end of the print function. We also reviewed here the percentage, and we also showed you how to use the regular, greater than, less than, equal for the if and elif statements. We also took a look at the and or logical operators used in the if and elif statements. We talked about loops, the difference between loops and the if statement for loops, the difference between for and the while functions here. The for here is iterating through a certain list. So x could be x, I, j, k, l, m, n, whatever a letter you want, while you use for whatever letter in the list then or dictionary, then you can loop through it or iterate through it, and then it will print, of course, the variable. Over here it printed only x because definitely at each incident one here it will print more, right? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so it printed 6 x's. Yeah. So what else? Over here we printed all the fruits. I also showed you how you can iterate in, it's very smart, Python is very smart, iterate in within the letters. Over here the continue works very well with or logical statement operator, sorry, or a logical operator. And then I talked about while. With while you have to have an initial value and then a ceiling and then a certain condition. While I is in satisfying a certain condition to a ceiling here, or the end of the range from initial to the end, then do something and then increment it not only by 1, you can increment it by 5, 10, even 0.5 if you want. So do that. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. In the next video we're going to talk about how to create functions, and it's very important. So this will be a little bit of an advanced topic, but it's not really too difficult, and it's very important. This is the most important topic.